Miserable little half-blood brat. He's nothing to do with me. Does not warrant the title of baby. It is an abomination. I'm crying now, properly sobbing because I feel so betrayed and so let down because I'd hoped that, God, I've hoped. Stupid. Why could I never stop myself from hoping? It's your baby too. I sobbed helplessly, and I can see the pity creeping into his eyes, but he forces it away, to replace by a cold callousness. You think so, don't you? He whispers, with one of the coldest, mocking sneers I've ever seen on his lips. He leans closer, close enough to kiss me, and I feel my heart skip a beat, but instead he just brushes my hair away from my shoulders and whispers into my ear. Why don't you prove it? The blood runs. He actually says that in the second one. Did you guys get that thing? I want to actually kind of use the actual audio, but I'm not going to. It's way too much trouble. And why don't you prove it? The blood runs cold at his words. He pulls his head back from mine, and his hand from my throat and looks me straight in the eyes with eyes as hard as stone. And I know that he knows that those words hurt me just as much as the Cruciatus curse. He knows. You're a monster, I whisper. He smiles with all the bitterness in the world. Indeed, he murmurs. I've never really hidden that fact from you. You've always known what I am. He locks his gaze into mine. You knew what I was when you let me into your bed. So disappointed in Lucius. Is anybody else disappointed? Now, when I read this, I wasn't really that disappointed. I mean, it's kind of a fucked up thing to do, but I mean, what was she expecting? What she was talking about before? Like, he's gotta have his couple of seconds to think shit over. He's taken a really long time to get to this point, and I feel like it blindsided him. And as much as it sounds fucked up to say, I just don't really think that it's that much to ask to give him a minute. He'll come around. I have the faith. I mean, I'm not trying to spoil it. That's what I thought before, and I'm not gonna say whether he does or not, because not like the story is probably gonna have a happy ending. I mean, we're all bracing ourselves for the fact that the shit is gonna hit the fan. It's pretty much guaranteed. It's just who's gonna survive the shit hitting the fan is the question. But anyways. So yeah, I don't know. When I read this, I wasn't like, no, he's not wrapping her up into her arms. I was like, bitch, what did you think was gonna happen? But I hate how there's never, that even up to this point, there's not this moment where she kind of even really is ever honest with Ron. Like, I don't know why, but that always bothered me. I'm like, you love Ron, and Ron is like your really, really close friend. And I will elaborate on this later when you guys have more information. But I just mean that it's just kind of like, dude, you gotta say what you mean. It seems fucked up that she lies to him. Like, she lied before this when she told him, and she's like, I broke it off with him or whatever, and then she's all like, oh, I don't really love him, I love him more than I love you, and it's kind of just like, I know maybe that you're not using the word love, but you gotta know that's a little bit of a lie. You say you lie to him to protect him or whatever. It's kind of just like, you're not protecting him, you're protecting yourself, because you don't really want to lose him. And even though now he knows that you're sleeping with him, it sounds a lot better to say that, oh, he's just kind of like an abuser, which he is an abuser, by the way. When Ron says, you're in an abusive relationship and he'll never really love you, I thought that was really poignant. I thought they got it. That actually, it looked like when he said that, it got to Lucius, because Lucius was kind of like flinch, and then he like punches him in the face or whatever happens, and then it's kind of just like, yeah, hurt a little bit, thinking that you can push all this emotion towards her, and then because you do abuse her and you do fuck with her, and it's kind of like she's never gonna love you in the same complete way that you probably love her, even how tainted it is or whatever, but because she'd never really hurt you as much as you hurt her. Get it? Because it's him himself who is hurting her. It's who she is that's hurting him. She has nothing to do with that. He's just upset because he likes some mudblood, but she's upset because, like, he killed her parents and tortured her and slaps her. I don't know. They're all like, oh, it's an abusive relationship because he slaps her or whatever, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know about all that. I mean, yes, it is abusive. I'm not trying to downgrade the abuse or whatever. And then it's like, oh, she killed her parents. It's a major thing. And I'm like, okay, we can pretty much explain the whole killing her parents thing away. It's not like he was like, you know what I want to do to torture you? Kill your parents. It was like Voldemort's like, I want to kill Hermione. And Lucius is like, I'm not really okay with that decision. He's like, okay, well then kill her parents or kill her. He's like, well, I don't care about her parents. So So it's kind of just like any normal. No, I should not say that. We can understand the circumstances, and though they are fucked up, this is Eden, so I mean, everything's gonna be fucked up. And if we're going on the fucked up logic, then we kind of just need to accept what is. But I do agree with the people that, well, I mean, and then it's kind of just like, oh, it's an abusive relationship. But then after you read like the first 10 chapters, you're like, slaps are abuse? Psh, those are practically hugs. What? That's what that's how I kiss my children goodnight. I don't know. It just seems so pathetically weak in comparison to just the mind-boggling torture that happens in this book, that you're kind of just like, grow up, Ron. Come on, sweetie. Get in the game. What are you doing? So I guess that's also to show how naive Ron is, because he doesn't even really get it. So yeah. That's my little rant in the middle of this. I know I'm not doing many rants. I'm in a bad temperament today. Sorry, I'm having a bad day, and I was trying, I've opened and closed this like so many times, and I'm like, I should read it. So, anyways, hold on, I'll get back to this as I go answer a text message. Y'all hear all those my head falls forward. The tears come thicker and faster down my face. But his fingers hook themselves onto my chin and force my head up to face him once again as he looks searchingly into my eyes. He takes a deep breath, sounding almost resigned. I will not change for you, he says flatly. But I will not lie to you either, my blood. I do not want this. His features arch with disdain for a moment. I cannot pretend otherwise. It would be unfair to you. Oh. My voice can barely escape my throat. It's swollen up with misery. And this is fair to me, is it? He almost flinches at my words, but he forces himself to carry on. You say that you don't want this baby, I whisper. But you wanted me, Lucius. You wanted me badly enough to go against everything you ever held dear. He shakes his head and turns away from me. Look at me, I say desperately. And he does. He's no coward, after all. Hasn't he told me that so many times? His eyes I can't even begin to contemplate what emotions they contain. I've never been able to understand them. It's like what ancient wizarding theology used to say when they spoke about death and what might come afterwards. It was too great a concept for us mortals to understand. You wanted what there was between us. My voice is paper thin. I don't think you did. You threatened to disown your own son over it. You killed Dolof to keep me safe. You held me night after night as I slept in your arms. So don't you pretend that this baby can't mean something to you. And it's part of all of that. When it comes to be because of something you must have wanted more than anything else in the world. He stares at me and shakes his head again, but I reach up and put my hand on his cheek, and he stops. I reach up and put my hand on his cheek, and he stops his movement dead. It's part of you. I murmur, feeling the sting of tears. It's part of me too. Can't you see how beautiful that is? You don't understand, he mutters, reaching up and wrenching my hand away from his face. You've never been able to understand. Though I've tried to tell you time and time again, your blood and my blood, they cannot be mixed. Why can't you see that? Do you know what kind of offspring that would create? Something like me, Lucius, I say passionately. My blood is worse than this child's would be. Yet I'm the only thing you've ever been able to care about in the whole world. He stares at me, his gaze cold and unreadable, before he turns from me, leaving me standing alone in the cold. No, he states very, very slowly. No. You cannot. It must be gotten rid of. It must. He turns very quickly and walks towards the door, not looking back at me as he leaves the room and slams the door shut behind him. I have waited for hours for him to come back. It's the longest, most agonizing wait I can imagine. He steps into the room, his expression completely closed. Like he's separate from the room. He needs to be distant for this. He's got a bottle in his hand, a small bottle made of deep blue glass, full of what looks like water. That is not water. I know that it isn't. He looks at me. No,